Hello, it is Thursday, August 17th, 2023 at 8:36 a.m. Eastern Time, USA. I'm Mitch Miller. This is my video journal. I did get the Magellan to turn on. It doesn't turn on every time. It takes about 6 or 8 tries to get it to turn on when it times out. That'll stay on till this evening, then I'll move it up to the 3rd floor. It does show my current location, but it moves around some, like the signals are changing. Alright, so I withdrew money yesterday from my government issued bank account. There's no extra money in there, no extra 100K, no glitch has occurred to fund the state capitals project or the glitch for Twitchy Mitch project as of yet. And on that note, I picked up an interesting headline on Reddit. The Bank of Ireland had a glitch in its banking system that gave people an extra $1,000 that they didn't have or something like that. So I find it interesting that the abbreviation for the Bank of Ireland is BOI. I listed BOI as as meaning a business of interest. So the BOI had a glitch. Some people believe in signs. Other people believe that it's just coincidence, right? If I do go on this state capital trip, if I do get funded, which I believe is important that I do, I wanted to say the other thing I acquired from my grandfather's estate, my grandpa Hum's estate, is a small digital camera. Takes an SD card. I gotta check that SD card to see what pictures he took. But I acquired Dana Holmes's camera, right? So it's a Sherlock Holmes camera, crime-solving camera. So I will take that. If it works, I will take that camera with me. Put a fresh SD card in there, and I will take pictures of every receipt that I acquire on the trip, just like I do on my Twitter account. I'll keep this on a disc, and if you funded the $5,000 for the photographs upon request, I will send you a disc of all of my receipts as well. As of right now, I would just reserve it for the IRS, because this could potentially create a roadmap, these receipts, of hotels that greedy, corrupt business people and politicians would avoid certain hotels on purpose, right? So we would want to be careful with how we released that list of receipts. But I want to be transparent, so that's important too. I'm no better than them if I'm not willing to be transparent with all of my transactions. On the note of greedy business people, corrupt business people, and politicians, right? You may want to check out the peace treaty on MitchForMayor.com website. I've added to it. I've added some provisions to it, and I think what's important is that I clearly state on there that a government elected official should receive no extra compensation. They should only receive the salary agreed upon by the taxpayers. They should not receive gifts, any other type of compensation, favors, anything like that, right? for personal use. I left it for personal use because our campaign system's flawed, where they rely on donations to fund their campaign, which I think we should rectify as well, and maybe I'll add that to the peace treaty as well. But for now, we're focused on their personal expenditures, what they use for their personal expenses. That should only be the government-issued salary that is agreed upon for the position. No personal gifts, personal favors, personal donations. So I try to clearly say that. I don't know of anyone else that has laid it out like that. If I was elected to a position or hired into a position in the government, I would not take gifts, favors. I would just use the money given to me through my salary for my personal expenses. And it's kind of like a catch-22. I mean, it's not a catch-22. It's the reason they're offered these extra gifts and incentives is because they were elected into the position, right? If they were just a house painter, like myself, they wouldn't receive extraneous gifts like that, right? Now, sure, I've accepted pieces of furniture that people don't want anymore. That's kind of a gift. I've accepted cookies and food. So, I mean, use that as a guideline, right? I mean, if someone cooks a politician a meal, gives them a dinner, I would let that slide. Now, if they cater meals for their entire staff and campaign staff, that's a totally different story, right? I've had people cook steaks for my painting crew, but they didn't. But it's a little bit different of a situation, right? They're not elected. There is a little bit of a gray area there, but again, it's different if someone cooks you a meal and at that meal says, I need you to vote a certain way, or if they're just like cooking a meal just to be nice to you. If they're looking for favors, that's a whole different ball game. Alright, I had a call with a friend of mine from India about the Boudica.us website, and you may say, I've been pitching the Project 66 platform to them, just to get that information out into the Indian telephone system, the Indian supercomputing systems, Indian artificial intelligence systems. And you may say, well, you said last week that you were going to send emails out to university professors that teach computer science to try to build this thing. And I didn't. You might say, I'm lazy, I'm not doing enough, whatever. In my mind, I get mental blocks, and I just didn't get to it. I didn't formulate the email that I wanted to send out. And I feel like everything happens for a reason, right? So I've improved the idea for this project by talking to the Indian fellow. He asked about the voting system. How does the voting system work? And I thought you just vote on the videos. But you do need a solid voting system, right? So there would be yes votes, no votes. Yes, that video should be on the streaming channel. No, I don't think that video should be on the streaming channel. every university professor has the ability to vote one time on every video on the platform. Now, not all of them are going to watch every video on the platform, so we take a minimum vote system, so we'll say 1,000 votes, right? If a video reaches 1,000 votes, and we're sticking with our 6.6, and that video receives 66% of the votes yes, then it will qualify to be placed on the streaming channel. Okay. Now, if a video reaches 1,000 votes and it has from 50 to 60% yes votes, or from 40 to 50% no votes, right? That window of 20%. From 40% yes votes to 60% yes votes. Any videos in that window, I said some videos would get 6 minutes and 66 seconds or 7 minutes and 6 seconds to better explain their concept that they put out there for 60 seconds. That's where those longer videos come into play, right? The ones that get voted up to the top easily don't need a better explanation, and they're generally agreed upon by the higher education community. Where we need more explanation is those ones around the 50%. So they will be granted a longer allotment of video space to better explain, to present facts, to show figures, to explain where people can go and look where their research is published, hopefully by a peer-reviewed journal, so on and so forth. Once these longer videos are uploaded to the platform, it's linked to the 60-second video that it references, and anyone that voted no on the 60-second video will be given an alert. Here's a 7-minute video for you to watch in regards to that. Would you watch it? And then at the end of the video, they have an opportunity to change their vote to yes. And we may even do this as anyone that voted on the video, the initial 60-second video in general, even the yes votes, will get an alert to watch the longer video, and they'll get the opportunity to change their vote to a no after seeing more information. Do you want to change your vote, or do you want to keep it a yes? Right? So once that 60-second video is, if the information is there for the higher education community to vote it up into 66% yes votes, that will go on the streaming platform. And we might have a special hour where it's just, on the cusp voted videos. Then we'll have another time period where the longer, more in-depth, detailed videos will be put out to better explain the concept. So that's where the longer videos come into play. Now, I was reading about Canada's immigration policy, how they have offered a fast track to citizenship for tech workers, and how there's a tech wreck in the United States where a bunch of people are getting laid off in the tech sector. A lot of them are H-1B visa recipients that only have 60 days to find another job, or they have to go back to their home country, right? And Canada took like 10,000 of these people and put them on a fast track for citizenship. So that got me thinking, right? These universities, they sponsor a lot of immigrants with the H-1B visa. They're a nonprofit. And these universities are allowed to do some shady stuff with their finances. They don't have to be totally transparent, because someone from the CIA could say, we need you to employ this person, right? Or the NSA or the Homeland. They helped the United States during this war, during this conflict, during this arms deal, and now we need to hide them in your university system and bring their family over here for safety reasons, right? Now, some people agree with this. I imagine there's a fair amount in higher ed that don't agree with the things we covertly do in other countries in the name of freedom, even though we're run by a bunch of corporate communists. So let's take that concept right from day one. We have a nonprofit. I said that Project 66 is going to be a nonprofit. We have the higher ed community participating in it, giving $20 a year subscription fee to fund it. We reach out to computer science professors, and I initially said they might help build it. Here's what I'm thinking. They form the board of the nonprofit. And where they come in is when we hire a computer science person to build this platform out. They can review that person's progress and say they are doing a good job, they know what they're doing, or no, you need to demote them or not have them in this role, or fire them because they're not doing a good job. And so we hire a immigrant tech worker, right? We sponsor them right from day one with the H-1B as we form our nonprofit. We hire one person to start building the platform. So the computer science professors don't have to do any extra work except get regular progress updates and say this is moving along as I would expect it, or no, it's not. Now, the immigrant, instead of hiring them for $100,000 a year for a tech worker, or $200,000 or whatever, the immigrant puts together, because we're totally transparent, the immigrant tech worker puts together a budget on a spreadsheet. Here's what I need for food, for baby formula, for fuel, for public transportation, for rent, for electric, for gas, everything. They put together a budget that explains to us, the nonprofit, this is how much I need to make per year. This is what my salary needs to be in order for me to be able to live in the United States and not have to go back to my home country, right? So let's say that's $40,000 a year. They're able to live off of $40,000 a year. Maybe that's take home, maybe that's including taxes. We'll work that, we'll figure that out when they submit their spreadsheet. So that's what they start at, right? They start at the budget minimum that they need to live here. We're not trying to take advantage of them, just a growing nonprofit, and this allows us a transparency measure so that we can bring other immigrants in that maybe worked in higher ed in other countries and said something against the government and need to come here and have free expression and so on and so forth, right? So they get hired at $40,000. They're doing the tech job, they're building the platform. Our computer science professors say they don't know really what they're doing. They know how to build WordPress websites. They don't really know how to build this thing out from the ground up. I can only shadow them for 20 minutes a day, and this isn't working. right? So then we take that tech worker, we don't fire them, we don't have to call it a demotion, we just move them, a lateral movement, into administrator position, right? At first, I'm going to be the administrator. I'm going to verify the employment of the college university professors with their pay stub with all their vital information blocked out, or a letter from the university this person is employed as on university letterhead as a professor, post-secondary educator, so on and so forth. Now that takes hours a day to go through those documents. We move the $40,000 tech worker into that position, and we begin a job search for a new immigrant tech worker. Okay, same thing, they submit their budget, we approve their salary, and they take over and start building the platform out. And we can continue to do this as it grows across all universities in the United States. And as we get our streaming channel, and again, the streaming channel may have some advertisements on there, but those advertisements will be voted on by the university professors. What companies do we want to allow to advertise, what companies don't we, if it's local, regional, national. Alright, so that's my idea for a transparent nonprofit that facilitates immigrants being able to live in the United States. I believe that possibly universities could mimic this, could have their employees submit budgets in a similar fashion, and then more universities could be transparent and could also house and facilitate more foreign immigrants into their systems. So that's the idea, right? If you're a tech worker out there and you think you're going to have to head back to the United States, to your home country, join my nonprofit. I have lots of tech ideas where we can grow this nonprofit into thousands of people working under one umbrella nonprofit, facilitating other tech ideas. So, but that's what came to me yesterday, is why not start right from the beginning and say, we're not going to hire this Indian developer and wire transfer money over there and take advantage of their labor laws. We're going to sponsor immigrants that are already in the country or that have to come from another country and do this thing the right way right from the beginning. And then also, so they're not going to stay at that 40,000 forever. As the company grows, as a nonprofit brings in more revenue streams, they'll begin to, will vote on, either through the board or through the entire platform, hey, this is the product that we're at now. We think we should pay Raji or whoever $60,000 a year now, $80,000 a year now, $100,000 a year now. We want to get on pace with what other technology workers make, and we want to, allow them to live a better lifestyle, not a bare bones budget lifestyle, right? But a lot of I believe the immigrants are grateful to just to have the budget to stay in the United States, the land of the free, and conditions are better for some if they're in the United States. There's freedom of speech, there's guaranteed rights, even though technically they're not citizens, and companies abuse the visa and immigration policies to basically enslave a lot of these workers in certain ways, but I'm not going to get into that, and we're not going to do that as we grow this nonprofit, right? So that's where I'm at now with Project 66. I'm going to post this plan, both the voting structure plan with the 66% and the structure for the nonprofit. I'm going to type that up possibly this weekend at the Canandaigua Lake. We're headed up there for the weekend. And then I'll upload that to the traftnet.org website under the 66 tab, and then I will develop a email to send out to these Pittsburgh-based computer science professors and then other around the country that hopefully will share with their fellow colleagues, and it'll reference that tab so that they can go and see the structure and everything for the 66 project. All right, thanks for watching, and join me next week sometime when I talk about something else. I wish you peace, prosperity, and homeostasis.